I felt that I needed to revisit the whole area of the exceeding great power that is available to those who believe in Christ. This power is none other than the resurrection power that we are all part of as new creatures in Christ. Our new life comes from Him who has been given all power. It's not a power that was exerted 2,000 years ago and is now dissipated, for it is an eternal, never-ending power. It is a living power that is part of Christ's life now, and it's ours as well, for we are as alive as Christ is. Paul says that Christ's resurrection is our resurrection too, in Colossians 3:1. I like how it is put in the Passion Translation. Christ's resurrection is your resurrection too. That is why we are to yearn for all that is above, for that's where Christ sits enthroned at the place of all power, honor, and authority. We are now in Christ as new creatures, and if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creature. And in Christ we are to experience a resurrection life like His, and the new life that it imparts. For since we are permanently grafted into Him to experience a death like His, then we are permanently grafted into Him to experience a resurrection like His, and the new life that it imparts. Romans 6:5. We are encouraged to believe that the power is in us now, aiding us in our prayers and in our dreams. This power constantly energizes us. Never doubt God's mighty power to work in you and accomplish all this. He will achieve infinitely more than your greatest request, your most unbelievable dream, and exceed your wildest imagination. He will outdo them all, for His miraculous power constantly energizes you. Ephesians 3:16-20. I think we need to be constantly reminding ourselves of this amazing truth, that our God is a lot bigger than we could ever imagine. I have learnt that we can only draw from the reality that is available to us in the degree that we become aware of that reality. In other words, if you don't see the greatness and power of God, then we are unable to draw down into our lives that power, for we are not aware of it. We need first to have our eyes open to see, by revelation, the greatness of God, the incomparable greatness of God, so as to experience it in our lives. It says in Ephesians 1:18-23 that this power is so great that it is incomparable. There isn't really anything that we can compare it with. When Jesus was glorified on the Mount of Transfiguration, He gave us a glimpse of the power that now radiates from Christ. It says that His face shone like the sun, and His clothes were so bright that they were like lightning. The sun is 15 million degrees Celsius at its core, and 5,500 degrees Celsius at its surface. That's hot. Lightning, on the other hand, is 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun. It's 28,000 degrees Celsius. The power of Christ's resurrection is greater than the sun or lightning. Psalm 97, 3-5 also gives us an insight into Christ's power, for it says that His presence can melt mountains. Fire goes before Him and consumes His foes on every side. His lightning lights up the world. The earth sees and trembles. The mountains melt like wax before the Lord of all the earth. The greatest explosion ever recorded by man was the Hunga Tonga volcanic eruption that took place in January 2022. This eruption came from deep within the ocean, pushing water up into the heavens 190,000 feet. It even entered the mesosphere. The sonic boom could be heard here in New Zealand 2,000 k's away, and the shock waves went around the world 6 times. It was equivalent to a 61 megaton bomb. It was greater than the Tsar Bomba nuclear bomb that was the biggest nuclear bomb ever exploded. That's 3,000 times greater than the Hiroshima atomic bomb that ended the war with Japan. At night you could see countless lightning flashes coming from the pillar of smoke. There were nearly 200,000 flashes of lightning inside the dark ash cloud for 11 hours. Bright bursts of electrical discharge rising 20 to 30 k's above the ocean, which is almost 3 times as high as a cruising Boeing 747 passenger airline. This was some of the highest altitude lightning flashes ever recorded. At 2,600 flashes a minute, it was awesome to behold. It's predicted that this eruption will affect the weather now for the next 8 years, especially over Australia. But the Word says that the power of Christ's resurrection exceeds all this. This power goes higher than 190,000 feet, for it goes deep into heaven. The volcanic eruption in Tonga came from the depths of the sea, but Christ's resurrection came from the depths of hell to the heights of heaven. The Tonga eruption could affect the weather for 8 years, but Christ's resurrection has been in effect now for over 2,000 years and is everlasting. The shock wave went 6 times around the world and eventually stopped, but the power of the Spirit will never stop going around and around the world. Paul says that we will have our eyes open to know the exceeding greatness of this power that is made available to us. We need to become aware of it in order to experience it in its fullness. I pray that you will continually experience the immeasurable greatness of God's power made available to you through faith. Then your lives will be an advertisement of this immense power as it works through you. This is the mighty power that was released when God raised Christ from the dead and exalted him to the place of highest honor and supreme authority in the heavenly realms. Ephesians 1:19-20. Paul also said that he wanted to know Christ and experience the power of his resurrection. We should also desire to know the power of Christ's resurrection. And I continually long to know the wonders of Jesus and to experience the overflowing power of his resurrection working in me. Philippians 3:10-11. The greatest nuclear bomb ever made was the Tsar Bomba nuclear bomb detonated by Russia in 1961. It was 50,000 kilotons of TNT, that's 50 megatons, as compared to Hiroshima, which was only 15 kilotons. In comparison, it was like a little puff of smoke to the giant palm tree created by the Tsar Bomba, the king of bombs. You could see the flash 1,000 k's away, and it leveled a city 55 k's away. Even at 160 k's away, it damaged another city, and you could get third-degree burns at 100 k's away. The heat created from this explosion can reach 100 million degrees Celsius. That's 5 times hotter than the center of the sun. But all these manifestations of power are nothing compared to the awesome power of Christ's resurrection that is made available to us believers in Christ. This resurrection power is now active in believers. And this so that I may know him experientially, becoming more thoroughly acquainted with him, understanding the remarkable wonders of his person more completely, and in that same way experience the power of his resurrection, which overflows and is active in believers. Philippians 3:10, the Amplified. The facts may say that there is no power working in us. I can hardly resist a headache, let alone cancer. But the truth is that the greatest power in the universe is active in us. The more we see this truth, the more we will become aware of it, and the more we will then draw from it. We can only draw from the reality in the degree that we become aware of it. This is why I feel to illustrate how big and awesome our God is. We need to paint this amazing image on the canvas of our hearts. All power has been given unto Christ in heaven and in earth, and we need to know that we also have been given all that he is and all that he has. We need to know that we are in Christ and that he is in us. Jesus said that a day would come when we would know this. When I come back to life again, you will know that I am in my Father, and you in me, and I in you. John 14:20. So when that day comes, you will know that I am living in the Father, and that you are one with me, for I will be living in you. The reason why we are not experiencing this is because Satan has been working overtime to make us carnal Christians, only going by what we see and feel. He is keeping us distracted, unattached from our true identity, knowing who we really are. Satan has got us feeding on the inferior, on those things that pull us away from discerning who we are in Christ. But we can overcome, for Jesus said, to be of good cheer, for he has overcome the world. And since we are his true children, we qualify to share all his treasures, for indeed we are heirs of God himself. And since we are joined to Christ, we also inherit all that he is and all that he has. We will experience being co-glorified with him, provided that we accept his sufferings as our own. Romans 8:17.